So PlayStation is doing their big PlayStation 5 event this Wednesday, 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to be at work, but I'm going to have to catch it after work. So I'm going to try to stay off social media so I don't get anything spoiled for me. I know a lot of you all like to send me stuff. You can send me stuff. I'm going to stay off of media until it's done. There's a lot of stuff people want to see, a lot of stuff about the system, the architecture and whatnot that people want to see with the PlayStation. I want to see Final Fantasy 16. And I think we will. There were one or two people from Square Enix higher-ups that had retweeted something about the PlayStation event. I quickly undid the retweet or something. However news is corresponded these days, whatever constitutes a big deal these days, which a lot of times it ain't a big deal, you know. But anyway, if there's smoke to that fire, I read that on Games Radar, so take that however you want it. But I have a strong feeling we're going to see PlayStation 5 showing off Final Fantasy 16 this week. And I'm here for it. I'm all about it. I've been waiting to see this game for like a couple of years now, right? I can't wait. There are a bunch of things they can do with it. I think if we get anything, we're not getting gameplay, we're not getting anything like, we're getting a setup. We're getting a view into the world. We might get a taste of the story. We'll see a couple of characters, our protagonist, which I think this time around I would like for it to be a woman, like a Terra from Final Fantasy VI. That's what I really want. Lightning was alright, but I am ready for a character like Terra to come back into the story and take the forefront. I think this would be great for a number of reasons. Storytelling wise, you can do a few different things with it. But one of the things I really want to see, I really want to see them take it back to its roots. I did a video a few months ago about what I want to see from Final Fantasy 16, and that hasn't changed. What I would love is basically for them to set it in like a Final Fantasy Tactics type of setting. We got to get back to basics on story. We got to get back to basics on story with these Final Fantasy games, because here lately, Final Fantasy 15's was weird and kind of it was intimate but grand, and I get what they were trying to do with it. They just didn't stick the landing. You know what I mean? 13, I played them. It was a mess, in my opinion, and I'm not the only one that shares that opinion. Even Final Fantasy VII Remake's story has been met with some hubbub, you know, and that's been well documented. They gotta stick the landing on the story and the characters and the artwork. Bring in Yoshitaka Amano to do some more concept artwork for this world. I want to see just a beautiful game, a big open world, sweeping landscapes and cities with beautiful architecture. Take it back. No more. Get the vehicles and all that kind of stuff out of here. Get the shock troops and stuff, like with all the tech and everything. Get that out of here. Let's take it back. Let's take it back to its roots. Final Fantasy 4, 5, 6. 6 gets into the Magitech stuff, but I think there's so much there. It feels like a powder keg with Final Fantasy. Like they've been waiting for a long time to get back to a time and an era with the storytelling, right? I would love to see something like the Judges. I want to see a cool villain. Okay, here's what I want to see from the presentation, right? Opens up. Shot opens up. Somebody's either running or struggling or something's going on, right? Like the Project Athia, I thought that was going to be Final Fantasy 16, which I'm still not 100% convinced that it does have something to do with it, but like a side story, but I'm not getting into that right now. Somebody struggling, right? They're being chased by whatever the troopers are going to look like, the main, Shinra troops, the putties are going to look like. Have them getting chased down or whatever, they stop, they do whatever it is, their weapon, their magic or whatever, and then it pans off. You hear voice talking, you hear something about, darkness in our times and all this kind of stuff or whatever's going on, whatever the big plot is in the story, you touch on it. And then you back off and you see what like the nature and the world looks like, but then beyond that, like just this huge city. It's a huge, beautiful city. Think the concepts of Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy Tactics, right? Think the concepts the concept art of those cities and that architecture and stuff, and apply that into this. That's all you would need. That's all you would need. Maybe show like some cutscenes of some battles or whatever, But I don't think they're far along enough in production for Final Fantasy 16 to show us any in-game stuff. Definitely not gonna see any HUDs or anything like that. No player interface, no nothing like that. We're just gonna get like a quick trailer. I think we are getting it though. I think they're finally ready to show us something for Final Fantasy 16. Final Fantasy 14 Shadowbringers has been killing it. And the director on that took over Final Fantasy 14 is, I think he is rumored to be like heading up Final Fantasy 16. I'm not 100% on that, but I think, and he has gone on record as saying that he wants to take it back to its roots, take it back to like knights and armored chocobos and mages and all this other kind of stuff. And the story, they can absolutely tell an amazing story in this game, because Final Fantasy Tactics on PS1, the original Final Fantasy Tactics, which was remastered as the War of the Lions, is one of, if not the best Final Fantasy game of all time. I still say Final Fantasy VII is my favorite story ever written. It's one of the greatest stories ever made. But Final Fantasy Tactics is up there. If it's not 1A, it's 1B. I go back and forth on those because those two stories are incredible. The political intrigue, the way the characters work with each other, everything is woven together into this tight tapestry, right? Everything fits, everything works, everything in that story just works. And it draws you in. And when you experience loss in that story, you really experience loss. Like, you feel it. And the characters and the technology at the time was not very good, but you can go back and play that game and you can forget about that stuff because the story is so good. That's what Final Fantasy 16 needs to stick the landing on. The story, the aesthetic, the look. It has to take you back to a time. Show us what Final Fantasy was originally envisioned as in your heads. I'm talking Square Enix here. Show us what it was originally supposed to be in your heads, but you can do anything now. So show us give us the world you've always wanted to give us. That's what I want. That's what everybody wants. Everybody is saying, hey, yo, let's take it back. Let's do like kingdoms and empires and tell the sweeping epic that they have not yet told. They have not yet told that sweeping epic narrative yet. I think 12 was probably the last one. 13, and I'm not big, I don't play 14 very much, so I could be wrong. Y'all can let me know in the comments how the story is on that. I know that Shadowbringers and the stuff that they've been doing the past few years is killing it. Everybody's always talking about it. I want to play it, I just don't have time. But 13 didn't do it, 15 didn't do it. 16's got to do it. 16 has got to do it. If 16 doesn't pull it with the story and the characters and the feels, then I'm going to start wondering if Square Enix can still do it. That's where I'm at with it right now. Like, if they fall flat on 16, which we're not going to play this game for at least 3 or 4 years. I mean, it's a ways off. This is not, I don't think, this is definitely not a launch title for PS5. I don't think we get this game until, at the earliest, late 2022, early 2023. I would say holiday season 2022, spring 2023 for Final Fantasy 16, and that's if they announce it this week. But I feel like they are. What do you all think, though? Let me know. Let me know in the comments below. Are you looking forward to it? Why wouldn't you be, man? Right? Why wouldn't you be looking forward to Final Fantasy 16? I think this has the promise and potential to be something very special, and I hope they stick the landing with it. I hope the story is bonkers and off the wall. I hope that the characters are great. I hope the world is just beautiful. Make us a beautiful, incredible Final Fantasy. It's been a bit. It's time. It has definitely been a bit. It's time. There were aspects of 15 that were just gorgeous, but it was like, man, it was different. They were trying to do something different, I guess. But sometimes the formula is the formula because it works. You know what I mean? I am all for going outside of the conformity and, getting outside the box and doing something different. But if you do that and you don't do a good job, then your formula is what your formula is because it works. And I think 16 needs to get back to a little bit of that formula. I would love to see some kind of turn-based mechanic in there. Now, you're going to be running around and swinging your sword or casting spells and stuff. There's no getting around that. That's the way it is now. We're not going to get true turn-based, true old-school turn-based, but I would love to see some kind of turn-based mechanic in there. I love Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1's combat. I loved it. It's not without its flaws, of course. I mean, there's some wonky stuff in there, but I believe there's some little tweaks and stuff you can make to it here and there, and that is a great combat system. I love it. I think some kind of hybrid for that and something else they dream up would be great for this. But I want it to look... I really want it to look like Ivalice. Ivalice, however you want to say it. I really want it to look like that, right? I want it to have that old school tactics feel. Final Fantasy 12. I love Final Fantasy 12. I have fought some of you all tooth and nail about why I love Final Fantasy 12. There's not one focal character. It is an ensemble piece. I think that's why it's so good. The judges and that whole storyline. I mean, that is some of the best stuff. You've got the storyline with Bosch and Gabranth, the dueling brothers, and the fallen knight, the former judge, and you've got Balthier the sky pirate with Fran. You've got all these other characters interacting and overlapping each other, and it's all told through the eyes of Vaughn. And Vaughn's not really anything amazing as far as like main characters, but they told the story a different way. I appreciated that because everybody felt important in that game. Because the lead character, everything necessarily didn't revolve around him. He wasn't the end-all, be-all. But every character felt balanced and important. And I think that is something you have to do these days. Because side characters, used to be back in the day, a side character would be like, whatever, it's a side character, I like them, but they're not the main character. Nowadays, you've got so many people that you're pushing a story out there to. Everybody's got their favorite character. It's not necessarily the character you're pushing. Cloud Strife is not everyone's favorite character in Final Fantasy. Some people it's Barret. For me, it's Vincent. For some people, it's Tifa, Aerith, whatever. You can get that argument. Trust me, you can get into that argument all day. But you see what I'm saying, right? Give us a balanced story with great characters. Play and do with those characters. Kick it back to Ivalice. Kick it back to tactics. Final Fantasy 12 kind of looking stuff. With even less tech, though. With even less tech, right? I would like to really strip it down. But anyway, that's my take on that. I'm not going to see it live. I am going to be working. It's at 1 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday, which is 4 p.m. here on the East Coast, which I have to be at work at 4 Wednesday night. So I'm going to do my best to stay off social media. I'm not going to be watching my phone for all this stuff or whatever. Y'all can tweet me stuff. Y'all can hit me with stuff, but I'm not going to be looking at it until after I get off of work and have watched it. So I'll be able to sit down, watch y'all put it up on the big screen, watch the whole presentation with a beverage and a nice warm little bit of food to eat. And I'll sit here, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do a reaction to it. I'm going to react to the PlayStation 5 thing, but I'll be doing it not live, it'll be later. So it will be going up, so you'll get my thoughts on it. Anyway, y'all have a great night, keep rocking. I can't wait for Wednesday. I can't wait to see what they're doing, what they're going to be doing with this. And you all have a great start to your week. Keep rocking. If you all haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. Throw a like on the video. I really appreciate all the love, all the support you all give me. It makes me feel good. Makes me feel so good inside. Plus, we got all that new animation stuff I'm working on coming your all's way very soon. So, y'all be good to each other. Stay safe out there. And I'll catch you in the next video.